and welcome to this episode of For Traveling Teens. I am Shae Pepper, the Traveling Teach. Now, I did say we were going on a bit of an extended break through the summer. Unfortunately, it did extend further into the fall than I had planned. Sometimes those things just happen, but I am very excited to be back today with Coral. My interview with Coral was a ton of fun. It was great hearing her story. So make sure you listen in to hear her worst trip memories. Find out why she loves New York City and can't wait to go to Paris. And also try and see if you can hear my dad bad joke. Make sure you stick around afterwards to hear about some of the reasons I would like to go to Hawaii and where I'd like to see. Hello, and welcome to this episode of For Traveling Teens. I'm Shae Pepper, the Traveling Teach, and today I have Coral with me. Hi, Coral.
Hi.
Hi, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Sure. I'm Coral. I'm 12 years old, and I live in New York.
New York City or New York State?
New York City.
Oh, nice. It's one of my favorite places in the world. So I love that you're from there. So, Coral, why do you like to travel?
I like to travel because it's fun to see the world and experience new cultures outside of your home.
Yeah, what's so fun about it?
It's fun to have a new surrounding instead of just being at your house all the time and get outside and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Even somewhere as diverse as New York. I mean, it's really great to still go other places to experience how people live elsewhere.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite way to travel? Like if you got to pick, what is your favorite way? Do you love boat? Do you love car? Do you love the RV? Do you like the plane?
I really like to drive because it's better than flying for me because you get to stop and get out and stretch your legs if you need to.
Yes, for sure. So, excuse me. So yeah, I'm on a 5-year, 50-state road trip with my husband and our little dog. And so we drive a lot of places. I'm not a great flyer. It's not my favorite thing to do. If I had to pick, if I could just travel anywhere in the world on a method of transportation, I love boats and I love trains. That's what I enjoy traveling with. So how many states, countries, or places have you been to already?
I've been to 4 countries, which is the Bahamas, Costa Rica, the Dominican, and Canada. And then I've been to 12 states.
Nice. So I have not been to Costa Rica yet. I would love to go. I would love to see the sloths. I have not been to the Bahamas yet. And I'm sorry, you said Canada and one other country?
Yeah, and the Dominican Republic.
Dominican Republic. Yes. So I have been to the Dominican Republic and I have been to Canada, but not Canada. I've been to Niagara Falls, Canada. So I do need to see more of Canada.
Canada's pretty big, so.
Exactly. Have you been all over or have you kind of been near the Niagara Falls area?
I think when I was a little younger, we in Canada for a week or two. But I've been to the Niagara Falls of Canada, yeah. Or the Niagara Falls side of Canada.
Yeah. And, listeners, just so you know, the Niagara Falls side, you want to be on the Canada side of the falls so you can look at the US side, because the US side is the pretty side to look at, but the Canada side is the fun side to be at. So that's how you got to do it. That's how you got to do it best. All right. So why do you think it's important for tweens and teens to travel away from their home?
I think it's important because they get to see places and explore things, and you get to learn about the world that you live in. And it's fun.
So Coral, what is your biggest travel dream? If money were no object and time were no object, where can you not wait to go?
I would love to go to Paris and Taiwan. I would love to go to Paris because I think the Eiffel Tower is so cool and I would love to see it in person. And I would like to eat crepes and croissants. And then I would like to go to Taiwan because it's I've read some books about it and it seems like a really cool culture to explore. And
I have been to Paris. I have tried crepes and I had banana and Nutella crepes there that they flambe with like rum or brandy or something, but you don't taste the alcohol, and they set it on fire. It's amazing. So good.
Wow.
We had one day in Taiwan. So we were traveling through to go. It was either on our way to Bali or our way back from Bali. I think it might have been on the way back. And we had like 9 or 10 hours. So we left our bags at the airport and we went in downtown. It was a really cool place. We would really like to go back and see more. We kind of just did like the highlights of the things to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. That's really creative. Paris is cool to me, but there are other places that I prefer. But I enjoyed Taiwan, and that's not somewhere that a lot of young people say they're excited to go. So that's a really fun, one, because I love when young people want to go somewhere really unique and creative. So that's really cool. All right. So when you're planning these trips, I mean, how much input do you have, or do you like to have, when your family or your school is planning a trip?
So I would say when it's with my family, my mom and dad, they usually plan like where we're going, but my brother and I, we get to pick some places that we want to go when we're there at the place that we're traveling in. And I think that's enough input for me.
That's it. That's good for you. Just give a little bit of things, make sure you get your highlights in.
Yeah.
And have you been on any school trips?
So I haven't been in school really for the last year and a half, but before that, we did go on trips like to the planetarium, but we don't really get to choose the kids that go to school. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty common thing. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Maybe this will be your chance to give your teachers and parents and aunties and uncles ideas for what they can do to help make travel amazing for teens and tweens. So we'll come back to that. So you're ready to go on your trip. Obviously, you need your shoes, your clothes, etc. But what are your must-haves? Like, what are the things that you're like, my life will not be okay for this X amount of time without this in my bag?
Yeah, so when I'm flying, I need paper books. I need them. And then I need some gum and my sketchbook and Dramamine, because I get motion sick and air sick all the time, but it's all right because Dramamine fixes everything.
It does.
And then, yes. And then when we're driving, I need Dramamine also. A neck pillow and podcasts to listen to.
Oh, so let's talk about the sketchbook. Are you an artist?
I don't know if I would consider myself an artist, but I do like to draw and paint and all that.
Awesome. Do you draw and paint your travels?
No, but that would be a good idea to do that.
So what kind of books do you like? You said you love paper books. What kind of books do you like?
I like reading like graphic novels. Like one of the series is The Babysitter's Club, and then I forget, there's like a book called Smile that has a sequel to it. It's called like Sisters or something. And I love graphic novels because they're so fun to read to me.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm not really someone who gets car sick if I'm not reading. As long as I'm not reading, I don't really get car sick. And I don't usually get boat sick. Like normally I'm pretty good, but we went whale watching this week and we had some rough seas, and everybody, like my husband took a second Dramamine, like everybody, like they made bank on the boat for Dramamine this week. So
they sold it on the boat?
Yeah, they sold it on the boat, which was good. I mean, we brought some with us, but yeah, they sold it there too, because it was just, when we got close to where the whales were, you turn the engine off so that you don't disturb them, so you can watch them. And we had this huge transient super pod of orcas. And so this is like 20 to 25 orcas who are in 5 or 6 different family groups that normally don't just stay in this area. They just move through based on the food source. So it's really rare to see such a big pod and then to see them all hang out. And they hung out for like 35 minutes. We had to leave. Like they stayed, we had to leave.
Wow.
And that the waves, the boat wasn't controlling it anymore. And so it got a little bit, and so everyone was like trying to sit down, trying to stand up, trying to take pictures, trying to do all the things. And we were all like, oh.
Wow,
So
that's cool, but like I can totally feel how bad that must have felt.
yeah. So one little boy, so shocking. I talked to everyone. So there's one little boy, and he said, I love this. Can we do this again tomorrow, to his mom and dad? And obviously whale watching is very expensive. They were like, no. I said, you have to become like Captain Brian, and then you can do this all the time. And he was like, I wouldn't want to be seasick all the time. He was like, Captain Brian's job sounds great until you're seasick. He did not enjoy that part of it at all. So you mentioned your neck pillow. Do you have a specific neck pillow?
I do have a neck pillow that I use most of the time because it's just the one that I have, but I don't have a specific one that I need to use. But
so I have a different neck pillow than most people. So most people's, it's kind of like the little collar that kind of goes around your neck, right? Well,
yeah.
I'm a side sleeper. I really don't sleep sitting up with my neck back like most people can fall asleep like on the plane like this. I cannot. So I actually have a side sleeper pillow. It's called a J pillow, and it goes under my chin and around my ears. And so I can sleep sideways. I don't have to sleep like backwards. So that's
kind of cool.
Good one. I'll put it in the podcast notes for anyone who's interested in the J pillow rather than the traditional travel pillow. But yeah, it's really been a lifesaver because I do like to lean, and so it's much nicer for me.
So
cool. You've got your must-haves all together. What are you looking for when your parents say, all right, this is where we're going to go? What are your thoughts? What do you want to do? What are you looking for? Like, what's your dream stuff to do? Do you love amusement parks, food, history, libraries? What is it that you're like, I got to go here while we're here?
So I love to hike. So definitely a place to hike. And then I also love to swim. So like a pool or a beach to go to. That would be nice.
Well, you're in Hawaii right now, so that's perfect for beaches and pools.
Yes, it is. We're going to a beach later today anyway, so.
Nice. Are you going to be doing any like snorkeling or surfing or like learning any of that kind of stuff or caving? What are you going to be getting up to?
So I think we are going to go on like a cave tour. There's this cave where it's like the longest lava tube in the world or something like that. So we're going to that. We hope. My brother might not be old enough to go, so we might have to wait a few years, but we would love to go.
Well, that sounds really, really exciting. So do you love animal experiences at all, or do you enjoy other things? What do you like to do?
I do love, I like going to the zoos, but it kind of makes me sad seeing all the animals like stuck there, but zoos are cool, I guess.
Well, that I think that the important thing to remember is that we kind of opened that Pandora's box of zoos a long time ago. So unfortunately, we already have animals who they can't just be released back into the wild. So the best thing we can do is make their enclosures just as happy and healthy as possible. And to remember that there are some zoos that are great and some zoos that are not great. So it's about making your choices as ethically as you can. And I think that that's a great choice. And that's kind of where I fall too. It needs to be somewhere where the animals look happy and well cared for. We have been to a handful of places where we were not happy with what we were seeing and we would leave because we were like, no, this is unacceptable. So that's just the best thing you can do is do your research. Are you guys going to like swim with manta rays or anything while you're in Hawaii?
I don't think so, because once again, my brother's not old enough.
Brothers, man, what are you doing?
I know. No, he's 5, so he can't really. But when he's older, I would like to go swimming with manta rays or like go snorkeling somewhere. That would be really nice.
Very cool. So we're starting to kind of talk a little bit about making memories and trip memories. What is your favorite trip memory?
I think my favorite trip memory is when it was my brother and I's first time coming to Hawaii, and my mom and dad's second. And my aunt, she came with us. And we went to this cool, like, volcano Crater National Park, I think it's called. And we got to see a huge crater that I forget which volcano made it, but it was so cool. It was awesome.
Sounds amazing. That is really, really cool. That sounds like a great memory. Were you able to like hike down inside of it, or did you just walk around the edge of it?
You're only allowed to walk around the edge because I think that like they don't want people to fall and slide and all that because it goes down pretty fast. It's like yeah.
So if you feel comfortable sharing, what's your worst trip memory?
So I don't think I have a whole trip that was bad, but on Friday when we were flying here, we were getting on our last flight to get to Hawaii, and it's like, oh, finally we're getting to Hawaii after this long, long day. And I sat down in my seat, everything was good, it was all normal. And a few hours later, I stood up. There was gum all over my pants and all over my shoes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
I know. We have no idea where it came from because, like, when I sat down, it wasn't sitting on my seat. So, yeah, it was so bizarre.
That is weird. Oh, but that would definitely make for a bad trip memory for sure.
Yeah.
So we don't have too many bad trip memories either, but one time, so when we went to Bali a couple of years ago for our anniversary, our luggage got delayed by like 2 or 3 days. And so we were kind of just trying to make do with what we had. And like, we bought like one other t-shirt or something, but they kept telling us it was going to be there. So we were like, we didn't want to buy a bunch of clothes and then have our stuff turned up. And they kept being like, it's on its way. And then like 10 hours later, they'd be like, it's on its way. And then 10 hours, it's on its way. We're like, oh my gosh, is it on its way or not? So I had one of my most favorite shirts. So I have an anxiety disorder that I work with when I travel. It can be challenging for me, but it had a puffer fish on it and it says breathe in, breathe out. And it's like cute because it's puffer fish. And it's like one of my favorite shirts. And we sat down to eat this like delicious crab meal and I dropped the crab and the sauce and this red, spicy, Indonesian pepper sauce went all over the only shirt I had, and B, my favorite shirts. I was devastated. I was so sad.
Oh my gosh.
That was like dinner time. And so I was in my like swimsuit for the rest of the day. And then our stuff turned up the next morning at like 4 a.m. But I was still just like so devastated that my like cute shirt, because those peppers, they don't come out. So my mom managed to get most of it out, but it became a sleeping t-shirt after that, which was so sad. So I totally understand having your stuff ruined and you're like, like this is just the worst. So
yeah.
For sure. So do you have any other funny or interesting stories that maybe aren't your best or your worst, but you'd like to share?
Yeah, I do. So when we were in Costa Rica, we went to a cloud forest and it was pretty cool, but like literally the temperature was cool.
Like, what is it? What is a cloud?
So it's like, it's not really a forest, if I remember correctly, but it's a bunch of clouds. And then once you get, it's like a cable car up to the top. And then there's like, usually you can see a volcano, but it was so cloudy the day we went, we couldn't see a volcano, but that's okay because I think there was a gift store at the top that we had fun with. But when we got to the place where we were about to start the tour, it was freezing. We didn't think it would be freezing. We were wearing shorts and t-shirts, and my mom just happened to have some towels in the back of her car. So we were wearing towels like you just got out of the shower, and my little brother was wrapped up like a burrito. But
so he was a bro-rito. Oh, but it's yeah, I might cut that. We'll see. Oh, well, that is great. And that's super interesting. I'm going to have to look up cloud forest. That's really neat. So Coral, big question. I'm a big eater. Are you an adventurous eater or not so much?
I am. I love to try new things and see if I like it or not. So
What's the
yes.
most outrageous thing you've ever tried?
So I've tried salmon skin before. It is delicious. And now we eat it like every week, salmon and salmon skin.
And what's the like tastiest thing you've eaten?
I think the tastiest thing I've ever eaten is, well, so I tried sushi for the first time like maybe a month or two ago, and I had a California roll and it was so good.
Yes, sushi is life-changing. In my opinion, I love sushi. So I, like you, started with the California roll. Now I will straight up just eat fishy on rice or fishy by itself. Like I love it. So start with your California roll, work your way forward till you get to like just fish and rice and things. It's so good. Do you like wasabi? Did you enjoy that?
No.
No. Okay. We love wasabi too. So I put wasabi with my soy sauce on my fish with my rice. So good. But I always look like a chipmunk because I can't like cut it. So I'm always so good.
My dad, he mixes the soy sauce and the wasabi together, and I tried it and I'm like, no.
The person that I first tried sushi with, that's what he did. But I don't do that. I put the wasabi straight on my fish and then I dip the rice in the soy sauce. So I get like the salty soy and then the kick of wasabi with the fishy. Oh, so delicious. Oh, I could talk fish all day, so I'll keep us rolling. But so how do you deal with any anxiety or maybe some fears that happen sometimes when something's coming up that you're not too sure about? I don't know if you like heights or not, or maybe trying a new food or not knowing where you're going. How do you deal with that?
So I do, that came out wrong.
Okay.
I think that for me, it's best to talk to someone that I trust when I feel like I'm having an anxiety attack or something like that, because it makes me feel better when I talk to them. And yeah.
What sort of things do you find that maybe you get a little bit more nervous about when it's time to travel?
I think that not knowing like where we are makes me a little nervous, but it usually ends out good for the most part.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's give some advice now. So what is something that you want parents and teachers or adults in general to know when they're planning a trip for tweens and teens?
So for parents, I would let them know that they don't have to make the whole trip educational since you're going on vacation. But I think that it would also be good if you're planning something to do with your kids, you should like let them know the schedule so they know what they need to bring with them, if anything, and they need to pack different clothes or something like that. And then for teachers, I would let them know that they probably should pick something educational because, it's kind of school. And then I would pick a place that you can interact with what you're learning about. So it kind of like sinks into your brain better.
That's really great advice. I love that. Yeah. We definitely have had some other teens who have said, it doesn't always have to be educational. I know moms and dads, especially if they are pulling you out of school at all for these things, tend to be like, we need to make sure you're learning. Well, all of travel is learning. It's so awesome. And you're learning all the time. So it's great to pick out a few things that are educational specifically. But I do think that sometimes just the act of going somewhere new and learning something new happens automatically. It doesn't always have to be quite so planned. So I think that's really great. And then finally, what would you say to other tweens and teens who have come across this podcast like you did, but who aren't sure that travel is for them?
Well, I would say that they should try and go on a little trip because it's really fun to travel, and they should be open-minded about it and try not to make the whole experience like, this sucks, I don't want to do this anymore. they should try and pick out the good things when they're traveling if they don't like it. And I would say it's fun to explore new things and new places and go out of your comfort zone a little.
Awesome. Well, that is great advice. Thank you so much for joining me today, Coral.
Thank you for having me.
So today we heard from Coral and we heard her fantastic stories, particularly about her time in Hawaii. I have not been to Hawaii yet for our 5-year 50-state road trip, which quite sadly or gladly is becoming an 8-year 50-state road trip between COVID and kind of slowing down so that we can enjoy more of each state. It is going to be an 8-year 50-state road trip. But our plan is always to end in Hawaii, to fly over with truffles and then to ship our car so that it can go to all 50 states. And that is our goal. We'll see if it happens that way. But we plan to end in Hawaii, and I've never been to Hawaii before. So I am incredibly excited about the opportunity to go and see all of these amazing places. So one of the places that I'm looking forward to going is the Polynesian Cultural Center. I am fascinated with other cultures, and the people of Hawaii and other Pacific Asian Americans and Pacific Asian cultures, I think are just beautiful. Having the opportunity to teach a little bit about geography and to teach about world cultures and dance, I had an opportunity to watch a documentary by National Geographic, and they show that the hula is not just a dance, that it is a story of the Hawaiian people. And for a while, they were not allowed to do the hula in an effort to kind of get rid of their culture and wipe out their kind of collective cultural memory. So the hula and the fact that people can do it now and can share it and can share these stories of their people is really, really important. So I'm really excited about the opportunity to visit there and learn more about that culture. Another place that I would like to go is Imiloa. There they have, at least going on right now, they have a wayfinders like course where you can go and learn about wayfinders. If you have ever had the opportunity to watch Moana, then you are probably familiar with the idea of wayfinding, and that is using the stars to guide you. And if you remember, Maui says it's about knowing where you're going by knowing where you've been. And so I would love to do some sort of wayfinders course. I love boats. And then again, this is another really impressive and interesting cultural experience that I would love to have on the island of Hawaii, on one of the islands of Hawaii. So another place you can go is Iao Valley State Park in Maui. It just looks beautiful. It looks like a beautiful place for hiking. Lots of gorgeous scenery. Obviously, it's very tropical and beautiful. I also would like to go to Kualoa Ranch, which is where they filmed Jurassic Park. So a lot of the Jurassic Park movies have been filmed here. And as a huge fan of the Jurassic Park movie series, the originals, because I'm an old lady, and the newer ones, I would really love to go and see where they have filmed those things. I'm not always very fussed with going to like movie locations, but that is definitely one that I would be excited about. So there's also the Waimea Canyon. It's kind of like Hawaii's answer to the Grand Canyon, except that it's much more green because obviously the Grand Canyon is in a semi-arid and desert climate, while here in Hawaii, it's going to be in a tropical climate. So it looks very much like the Grand Canyon, but like covered with moss. And it's not really moss, it's trees, but that's kind of the look and the idea of it is this big, beautiful canyon kind of covered in green. One of the places that I absolutely cannot wait to go is Hawaii Volcanoes National Park. There is an active volcano there that is still erupting, and currently they are watching it as this is recorded in 2021. There's been more eruptions and things going on, but Hawaii itself is a chain of volcanic islands. And so it's constantly being added to by these volcanic eruptions and by all of this geothermal activity. And so I would absolutely love to get to go and see active volcanoes at a safe distance, but to learn and see more about them up close. And who doesn't love a good national park? I'm also very interested in going to the Pearl Harbor Memorial, which is where December 7th, 1941, the Japanese chose a preemptive strike against America before America entered World War II. And so there were a number of ships that sank with soldiers inside of them and naval personnel inside of them. And so there is a memorial to their loss and also a memorial to the history that is there at Pearl Harbor. And so I would very much like to go there, see that historical piece and learn more about it. Moving on from kind of a very serious note to a bit more of a lighthearted note, I love pineapple. And so there is the Dole Plantation in Hawaii, and they have a pineapple shaped maze, like a garden maze that you can try and find the center to, but it's got pineapple shape in the middle. And you can see about the pineapples, and you can learn all the things about Dole, the company that mostly provides a lot of our pineapples. And it just sounds just amazing. But of course, you can't have a place without having all of the animals. So I also would really like to go to the Maui Ocean Center. I would love to see the animals that are there, learn about the marine life that is there around the islands in Hawaii. I would also very much like to go snorkeling or diving with whale sharks and manta rays. Those are definitely things that I would like to do. I am a little bit of a chicken. I am probably unlikely to go surfing or cliff diving in Hawaii, but there are a lot of other really cool things that I would love to do, and I can't wait to get there. So if you have been to Hawaii and you want to share about your experiences, I sure would love to hear them, or any of your other travel experiences. So if you're a teen or tween who has stories that you would like to share about your travel experiences, we would love to hear them. So please reach out to me at thetravelingteach.com/contact so that we can get you set up for an interview for early 2022 to have those come live. We would really love that. Additionally, if you are at all loving this podcast and you want to hear more of it, please leave a review wherever you are listening. It's available on a lot of different platforms, and sure would love for you to share it and to give it a good review so that we can continue to have more and more young people having access to this resource and learning more about travel from other teens and tweens. So thank you very much for listening. I'm Shae Pepper, the Traveling Teach. At the time of this recording, I am on a 5-year, 50-state road trip around the U.S., although with COVID, it's going to end up being 6 or 7 years. Darn you, COVID. But I travel full-time with my husband, Steven, and our dog, Truffles. I'm a professional youth worker and online educator. I'm passionate about learning on location and want to bring that experience to as many young people as possible through my virtual field trips. To learn more about my travels and online classes, go to thetravelingteach.com. To follow Truffles' travels, our trip from her perspective, which I am sure is infinitely more interesting to most of you than I am, go to @TrufflesTravelsUS on Instagram. To be a guest, tween, or teen on the podcast, just reach out at thetravelingteach.com/contact. This has been an episode of For Traveling Teens, a podcast for teens and tweens who love travel, whether they're actively traveling or just dreaming.